Hello YouTube, and welcome to my second PHP video tutorial. In this tutorial we will be going over how to use comments, basic math inside of PHP, last but not least, how to use variables. Let's go ahead and add that last star so it looks all sexy. Now, a comment is what you see in the green in here. This is a comment and it does nothing. It literally does nothing. All it does is it sits there and it lets you see information about your script, or others see information about your scripts if that's what you choose, if you choose to give them your script so they can see information. Only you can see this if you were to go to your page. As you can see, we have our blank page to the PHP here and there's nothing showing up. If we view source, there is nothing showing up. The comments are only visible to you and whoever you let read this. Now, you're probably thinking, why would I have these comments? They're pointless. Well, let's learn how to use them, and then let's get some examples of why you would use them. To use a comment in PHP, there's two ways to do this. For a single line comment, you would use 2 slashes, and for a multi-line comment, which you see up top, you would do a backslash, and you would end it with a star and a backslash. And comments can be used on multiple lines. For example, we have hi on one line, and on the next line we have hello, and then on one more line we have howdy. And you can see all the text is green, and if the text is green, it means it's in a comment. But let's try on one line. Hello. Remember, double slashes means that the comment is for one line. It's a one-line comment. So let's go down here and let's say hi. Well, as you can see, it's black. That means it's not a comment, and that means that it will not work. So it has to be on the line. On this line for a single comment, which is, the single comments are mostly used more than the multi-line comments. So let's give an example for how this would be useful. So let's pretend we have a lot of PHP here. So let's just write some fake stuff down. Let's do it like this so you guys can understand how big it would be. It's a little bit much. Let's do about this much. It's just random letters anyway. So say this took care of, this gets a username. Well, we comment out that so that you'll know that this gets a username, and other people will know that this gets a username, because your code might be 100, 200, 1,000 lines long, and you might not want to read through all of your code just to get to a specific part, or read through all of this just to know that it gets a username. So down here, let's say this outputs the username, and this creates a new username. Well, now this gibberish is a little bit more readable, isn't it? You know what the code would do if this was actual code. This would output the username, this would get the username, and this would create the new username. And that's why comments are used. And if you were to give this script, say it was a class, and you wanted to give it to someone else to read and to use for their own benefit, you would want to comment the code so that they knew what was going on and that they had an easy time understanding it as well. And that is what comments are for. So let's move on. In PHP, you can do basic math. PHP has that built into it. So let's echo. Let's output some math. Let's do 1 plus 1. And remember, everything has to be ended in a semicolon. So let's save that and let's see what happens. So we're going to refresh our page and we get 2. PHP does it for us. It knows math. So let's do times 10. Will that work? Now we get 11. And then last but not least, let's do divided by 2. Will that work? Yes, it will. The operators for basic math is plus, minus, multiply, and divide. These can be used as much any way you want, with any numbers you want, negatives, positives, huge numbers, whatever you want. Easily used, very easily used. And of course you can do them on more than one line, more than one time. So we'll echo, ignore this, we'll echo 9 times 9. Okay, we'll go back up here and we'll refresh, and we get 2 and we get 81. So as you can see, using math in PHP is a piece of cake. Really simple, really easy. Now let's move on to the core of this video, which is variables. Okay, so let's think a minute. What is a variable? Well, a variable is a box in which you store information inside of. So let's give you an example. To start a variable, you need to start it with the little money sign, and then the name of the variable. And the name of the variable usually needs to make sense of what's going to be stored in the variable. For example, we'll make a variable and we'll call it name, and we'll set name equal to Tony, because that's my name. And now we have name is equal to Tony. Now, what is this? What's going on? So, what's going on is we're setting a variable name, which is first a money sign, and after it, the name of the variable. Well, we're naming this variable name. And we're assigning, this is the assignment operator, we are assigning name equal to Tony. And then we're ending that command. So name is equal to Tony. So you're probably wondering what happens, and most of you probably already know what happens if we were to echo name, but let's show you what happens if we echo name. Let's go echo name. Well, what do you know? We get Tony. Now, there are some rules that I took off of a site if you guys need to know. A variable must start with a letter or an underscore. For example, it needs to start with a letter or an underscore, like so. A variable can only contain alphanumeric characters, such as AZ, capital AZ, 09, and of course the underscore. A variable name cannot contain spaces. If it's more than one word, use an underscore. For example, first underscore name. It cannot be first space name. That is not a valid variable. That will give you an error. Error. Underscore name. Let's do first underscore name. No error. Now, a variable is also case sensitive. What I mean by that is, let's try to output first name with a lowercase, and it's an undefined variable because first name is not defined because variables are case sensitive. Now, what else can be done with a variable? What can be stored inside of a variable? Well, you know, essentially everything can be stored into a variable, not just words. Let's assign a number into a variable. And assigning a number into a variable, you do not need to use single quotes or double quotes for your variable when you're using a number. So you would just simply use first name equal to 10. But now the variable is named first name, and it is equal to 10. Now, not to confuse you, but this does not matter. Well, I said before, it should be close to what is being stored inside or something that makes sense, but it is not needed. What I mean by this is, you can easily store the number 10 into a variable called first name. It's up to you. The name of the variable is up to you, but it would be easier for you to find out what's going on if you store something that made sense. For example, 10 is equal to, well, 10. So let's do that. I'm sorry about that. Let's do that. Save it, refresh, and of course we get 10 again. Now, variables can be treated just like the math that you saw. For example, 10 is equal to 10, but okay, let's set another variable, 15. And let's set 15 equal to, well, 15, not 25, 15. And let's go echo 10 and plus 15. Well, what do we get? We get 25, because all we're doing is we're saying echo 10 plus 15. Now, variables, you may say, why are we storing this stupid number? Like, why are we storing 10 in a 10? That doesn't make a lot of sense. Well, variables are very useful for many, many reasons. For example, say you have some input from a user, and say you have something like a huge paragraph. So say you have blah 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 blah. This random stuff. Let's just say we have this. Well, if we have a variable and we have text and we set it equal to all these random words, and we echo text, look what just came up. We just saved ourselves a ton of typing. And we can call this function, we can call this variable as many times as needed. It's very, very useful just for storing information for quick access. And that's what variables are used for, and that's why they've been created, and just ease of use. And during the tutorials, you will see me, if you don't completely understand variables, please do not fret. Please do not stop PHP. Trust me, guys. In the tutorials coming up, there will be variables used in probably almost, if not every other tutorial will have variables, but probably every tutorial, will have variables. So just keep with it, and I promise you guys will pick up on variables like that. Variables are nothing, and they're very easy, and you will guys see that they're just nothing. So I guess this will end this tutorial. This has been DontRTFM, YouTube.com. Please comment, rate, subscribe. It helps me more than you know. And I will see you guys next time for your second video tutorial. Thank you.